It's likely you are familiar with Paradox interactive grand strategy games, Hearts of Iron IV, Europa Universalis, Crusader Kings, Victoria Stellaris, especially if you're into subjects which you are likely to be into if you are watching my videos. And if you're watching this one, it's even more likely you are familiar with them. But if you're not, to summarize, in each of them you take control of a nation and basically try to be as successful as you can. However you define that success, be it through diplomatic or military or economic means. Each game focuses on a different era. For example, Crusader Kings, which takes place in the Middle Ages, focuses on dynasties and individual diplomacy, while Hearts of Iron, the World War II game, is based on military strategy. And the latter is what we're going to be starting with.
Kashubia, because here we've got Kashubia and not Pomerania, which made sense as they are a separate ethnic group and the 20th century was all about ethnostates. Of course, it's not a nation present at start, as it starts in 1936, but it is a releasable nation from Poland and from Germany, of course. It has the following clause. Gdynia, which includes Pomerania, Homeland and some more, so basically it's the Pomeranian voivodeship of the Second Polish Republic, and Gdańsk, and Hinterpommern. Now, Gdynia and Gdańsk makes a ton of sense, but Hinterpommern? If this is supposed to be a Kashubian ethnostate, I'm not sure this should be a core, maybe a claim. Kashubians did live there, but by the mid-war period only in the easternmost portion. This province should be separated into two, and then you can put the Eastern Słupsk province or whatever as a core, but whatever. There are also several problems with the Gdynia province. It includes Helmland, the claim of which to be part of Pomerania is dubious, and to be part of Kashubia is non-existent. And it also includes parts of, I think, northern Kuyavia, which are most definitely not Pomerania/Kashubia. The biggest problem, however, to me, is that no matter what, if you own the Gdynia province as Kashubia, the capital is Toruń. What? Why? This is the worst, least Kashubian city you could choose from the Kashubian clause. I mean, I guess Bydgoszcz would be worse. But, you know, I'd choose Gdańsk as the primary one, which is considered the historical capital of Kashubia. Or Szczecin, if we do have it as a core, which we do, and is considered the historical capital of Pomerania. Now, I think it was in one of the latest updates that they actually added Kashubian text for Kashubia, like the city names and the province names. Even then, it's not very consistent because, for example, Toruń is in Polish and Szczecin is in German. No idea why they couldn't have done Toruń and Szczecina if they've already done all the other cities. A bit silly. The only non-generic leader is Aleksander Majkrewski, which cool, but why is he in Polish? That was wrong. If they've added Kashubian text, they should have Pomeranized him, probably. And there's different flags for each ideology. For democratic, not really democratic, but neoliberal, we've got the Kashubian flag, cool. For the communist Kashubian commune, we've got this thing which I'm not sure why there is a sword, don't ask me. For the fascist ideology, we've got the lion, I have no idea why, should be a griffin probably. And for the neutral, which I guess actually means monarchist here, we've got the Duchy of Pomerania Gdańsk, which is really fucking stupid, since yes, Pomerania Gdańsk was the duchy terrains of which most Kashubians live on today. But the least you can have is all of Pomerania. No, I guess you can only have Gdańsk, but if you have anything more than that, that name doesn't make sense. Another interesting thing is that Vorpommern is present in the game, even though Kashubia does not have a claw on it because it is part of Pomerania, but not Kashubia itself. It doesn't make sense. But what sucks is that just like Gdynia, it has these two tiles, which are not classically part of Vorpommern or Pomerania. One is like Neubrandenburg in Mecklenburg, I think, and the other one is Uckermark, right? Here. Why did they do that? I don't know. I guess just to make the states bigger. Like, it makes sense now with Prussia being in the game, but before Prussia was in the game, I guess it's a nice addition. It's a nice addition that gives some very minor points for the game. But even all things considered, I think it's definitely the worst Paradox game when it comes to presenting Pomerania in it. Now, Pomerania in EU4 is way better. The borders are about as correct as they can be, considering how flimsy EU4 provinces' borders are inherently, but perhaps for gameplay purposes, perhaps due to some limitations, Pomerania is unfortunately only divided into Stettin and Wolgast, while historically, in 1444 there also existed Pomerania Bath, which held EU4's Rügen and Stralsund provinces, and Pomerania Stolp, which was actually a vassal of Poland. That could make for interesting gameplay, but they'd have to lose it soon through an event, because otherwise forming Pomerania would be a nightmare gameplay-wise, and Poland would probably annex it 99% of the time. The ruler is also historically correct. In Gothland there is also a Griffith, specifically Eric of Pomerania, who had ruled the Kalmar Union and later fled to Gotland, so that's very cool also. The Pomeranian culture extends to Uckermark and Drumburg, which were areas that were in fact Pomeranian. Cool, I love that. I also love that Stettin has a claw on Uckermark, which also solidifies that, hey, we did hold this right before. Or is that right? It's actually not, because historically it was actually in 1444 when Brandenburg demanded Pomerania turn Uckermark over to them, over to Brandenburg, because Brandenburg wanted it, and it was a contested area between Brandenburg and Pomerania. And Pomerania refused, war broke out, and Brandenburg did succeed in taking it with the 1448 peace treaty. I guess I understand that they didn't want Pomerania and Brandenburg to start in a war, but they could have done like an ultimatum, like the return of Maine in France and England. I'm glad the claw is there at least, so basically, even though we're in November of 1444, the situation presented seems to be of 1448. Pomerania has a ton of flavor. It has a unique mission tree, unique ideas. Love it. Pomerania is unfortunately part of West Prussia, of the West Prussia area. But I think it made sense for gameplay purposes because, well, you know, it would have two provinces otherwise. But one thing that bothers me is that Lauenburg and Butov land is part of the province of Gdańsk, meaning it will go to Poland alongside the rest of the province of Gdańsk, and remain with it until someone else takes Gdańsk. Historically, it was a vassal of Poland / the Commonwealth, but de jure it was part of Pomerania, which it later joined. It was a whole thing. There should be an event chain or decision or something, in my opinion, but I understand that they didn't want to make such a small province. 80 for me, because of all the flavor, which you just have to appreciate. Probably the most Pomerania-specific flavor-filled Paradox game. CK3 is awesome as well. I have almost no criticisms, and those I have are small. Firstly, what is this? Secondly, why is Szczytno its own county? In reality, it's super tiny, it's barely a village. Maybe it was significant at one point. I don't know everything. There are some Pomeranian exclusive names like Barnim, if I remember correctly. I like that. But I do wish Pomeranian names of locations and characters were Kashubian instead of Polish. And it made sense, I guess, that the Kingdom of Pomerania includes Lutetia and Violetia, as Pomerania did have strong ties with them, and later wanted to conquer seemingly all of these terrains. The borders made sense. In the 9th century, they're dispersed. It would have been like this, it would have been more fragmented, it would have been less fragmented, we don't know. In the 18th century, they got free from Poland in the pagan uprising, and indeed they remained pagan but feudalized. And in the 12th century, they're under Denmark and gained Uckermark. Cool, accurate. Also 8 here. Then we've got Historiography. There doesn't seem to be any unique flavor for Pomerania, but it is releasable as a one-province nation, and it's playable, technically. It's lacking resources and infrastructure, and it's so small that it's basically doomed to fail. I don't think it should be super rich, obviously, but come on. I think I would give it more of a chance at survival. Its borders are more or less the borders of the province of Pomerania, which makes sense. I do wish they had at least a claim on West Prussia, which should probably be called Pomerelia instead, as it only has the terrains of what is considered Pomerelia and Kulmerland. And here's a bit of a problem: even if they succeed at gaining the province, it has Kulmerland in it, which, as I already mentioned, its claim to be part of Pomerania or Pomerelia is quite doubtful. But I guess it made sense, as if Poland gains independence, which seems more likely and is historical, it can easily recreate mid-war Poland's borders, and Kulmerland is probably too small to be its own province. So, all in all, C tier. Now, EU5. From what I've seen, it's great when it comes to Pomerania. The locations accurately represent historical divisions within it. You've got Lauenburg and Butov as separate locations, which are part of the Pomerania area, which is perfect. That area also includes the sort of Jamberg region held by Brandenburg, and one thing that is wrong, it also includes this location, which is not part of the political borders of Pomerania, and historically never has been. And even despite that, you need it to form Pomerania. Personally, I don't think you should need that portion from Brandenburg and Lauenburg and Butov either to form it, but I guess they're going by area, which, whatever. I don't know why they included that Mecklenburgish location in the Pomerania area. I guess for gameplay reasons. I don't know what gameplay reasons they would be, but well, that's just wrong. The cultures, however, are mostly accurate. There's a lot of Kashubian east of the Oder, and there is some Polabian west of it. Not sure I would put so much Märkisch in Stettin, whatever Märkisch is supposed to mean. I assume like a border culture between Brandenburg and Pomerania, because it's separate from the Brandenburgish culture, and the Märkisch dialect is another name for the Brandenburgish one in reality. So I don't know. By far the domineering culture in Stettin at this time would be the Western Pomeranian culture, if you ask me. Other than that, it's great, the divisions are great. There's Stettin, there's Volgast, there's Kamen, which is historical, very nice. Though I wish, because I believe such things do exist in EU5, that there would be some sort of international Pomeranian organization or something that if an outside force attacked one, for example Volgast, then Stettin and Kamen would also attack that, would come to defend Volgast. Like, they would be able to fight within each other, but if someone from outside attacks them, they'd all defend. Another thing that would be that they have all claws on each other at all times. That would be quite chaotic, but cool. Another thing that is really cool is that in EU5, the Kashubian culture, the Kashubian language, has its own dynamic names. So basically all of Pomerelia and the Stolp province, as well as Rzemi in Vorpommern and Poznań for some reason, Poznań, and Kraina have Kashubian names. If depending on your settings, either the primary culture of the nation that controls them is Kashubian, or if most of the people in the province are Kashubian. However, just like in Hearts of Iron 4, it's not consistent. For some reason, for example, it's Miastkoe, not Miastkoe. It's not Mirachewe, it's Mirachowo. But you cannot ask for everything. I'm happy with what we've got. It's very nice. So now we've got something like this, and U5, I think I'm going to put in B, just because I really appreciate how accurate the locations are and how granular it is. But on the other hand, U4 has more flavor. It has the most flavor out of anything. But the thing is, what we're judging here is not how cool, how flavorful each depiction is. It's actually how accurate it is. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put you here, just because you don't even have any sort of Kashubian anything. You only have the Pomeranian culture, which is the Kashubian culture, but it doesn't even have any culture-specific text. But I mean, it's accurate. It's about as accurate as Europa Universalis IV. Do we do this? Do we actually put Europa Universalis V as the best one? Do we do something like this? Now, honestly, just on accuracy, I might do something like no. They did the different start dates and how Pomerania looks in those different start dates. I think that's really, really accurate and really, really cool. Actually, I'm going to bump U4 maybe a bit down because of the realms that they do not have, Pomerania Stolp and Pomerania Barf, and because it represents 1448 instead of 1444. It pains me to say, but on accuracy alone, I think this would be the accuracy based one, and coolness based one, it would be like this. Yeah, this is for when you actually want to play as Pomerania, and how much I recommend trying these games to play as Pomerania. Might even do this, right? And if we're talking accuracy alone, might be something like this. There are obviously more parallel games, some even with Pomerania in them. Off the top of my head, the previous installments of the Crusader Kings or Europa Universalis series probably have them, but I don't have nearly enough knowledge of these games to tell you anything about Pomerania in them, and I assume that if there was something interesting there, I would have heard about it. But correct me if I'm wrong.
if there is something really interesting Pomerania-wise there in those older games, I might check them out and judge them in a second part to this video if you'd be interested in that. So thank you for listening to me, and goodbye.